People laughed when Mina raised her hand at the auction. The shipping container stood at the far end of the yard, leaning slightly to one side. Its red paint had turned dull brown with rust. Long scratches ran across its surface, and the numbers printed on it were almost invisible. Compared to the other containers, it looked useless. Most buyers ignored it. Mina did not. She stood quietly among the crowd, wearing a simple jacket and worn shoes. She did not look like someone who belonged at an auction. Her hands showed signs of hard work, and her face carried the tired calm of someone used to being overlooked. The auctioneer barely described the container before starting the bid. The price was low. Too low for something made of thick steel. A man near the front laughed and said it was only good for scrap. Another person joked that it might collapse if someone sneezed near it. Mina listened without reacting. She had walked through the yard earlier and studied every container. Most were damaged inside, doors forced open, locks broken, and contents long gone. But this one was different. Its lock was old but untouched. The doors had never been bent. And on the lower corner, carved into the metal, was a strange mark shaped like a circle crossed by 3 lines. She had no idea what it meant, but it stayed in her mind. When the auctioneer called for bids, no one raised a hand. Mina did. The laughter grew louder. Someone whispered that she must be desperate. Another said she wasted money. Mina won the container for a price that felt heavy in her chest. It was almost everything she had saved over the last year. She signed the papers and received the key. As the crowd moved on, their laughter faded, but the words stayed with her. That evening, the yard was empty. The sun dipped low, painting the sky in soft orange and gray. Mina stood in front of her container, holding the key tightly. Up close, the container looked even worse. Rust flaked off when she touched it. The metal felt cold and rough. The smell of age and dust filled the air. For a brief moment, fear settled in her chest. She thought about the long nights cleaning offices. The hours spent fixing broken chairs to sell for a few bills. The meals she skipped to save money. If this container held nothing, she would have nothing left. She closed her eyes and remembered her father. He had been a quiet man who loved forgotten things. Old books. Broken clocks. Abandoned places. He believed stories were hidden where people stopped caring. He once told her that curiosity was a kind of courage. Mina opened her eyes and stepped forward. The lock resisted at first, then clicked open. She pulled hard on the door. The hinge screamed as it moved. A cloud of dust rolled out, thick and gray. The air inside felt colder than the evening outside. It sent a chill across her arms. She waited until the dust settled, then leaned in. The inside was dark, but not empty in the way she expected. There were no boxes stacked high. No piles of trash. No broken tools. Instead, a single wooden crate sat in the center of the container. It was perfectly placed. The crate looked new. Clean edges. Smooth surface. No dust. No cracks. Mina stepped inside slowly. Her footsteps echoed softly against the metal floor. The air felt strange, heavy yet calm. The further she walked in, the more she noticed the silence. It was deeper than normal silence, as if the container itself was holding its breath. She stopped in front of the crate. It was taller than her knees and wider than her shoulders. Faint symbols were carved along its sides, similar to the marks she saw outside but more detailed. The wood felt warm under her fingers. That made no sense. The container had been sitting outside for years. She pulled her hand back, heart beating faster. Then she heard it. A low humming sound came from inside the crate. It was steady, soft, and rhythmic. Not mechanical. Not alive in a way she could name. It felt intentional. Mina took a step back. Fear whispered that she should leave. Lock the container. Walk away. Pretend she never opened it. Curiosity pushed back harder. She walked around the crate slowly, examining every side. There were no nails, no screws, no visible way to open it. Only the symbols, carved deep and precise. At the back of the crate, she noticed something else. A small metal plate was fixed into the wood. On it were words written in simple letters. For the one who finds this. Mina stared at the message. Her hands trembled slightly. She had never believed in fate or luck. Life had taught her that effort mattered more. Yet standing there, alone in a forgotten yard, it felt impossible to believe this was random. She reached out again and placed both hands on the crate. The humming grew slightly louder. A warm sensation spread through her palms, not painful, not sharp, just present. Her breath caught in her throat. She pulled her hands away quickly. Outside the container, the yard was silent. No people. No laughter. No voices. The world had already decided the container was worthless. Mina knew that was wrong. She locked the container carefully and stepped back into the fading light. Her mind raced with questions she could not answer yet. What was inside the crate? Who put it there? Why it waited? She walked home slowly, the key heavy in her pocket. By the time the sun disappeared, Mina understood one thing clearly. Buying the rusty container was not a mistake. It was the beginning of something that would change her life and soon the lives of everyone who laughed at her. The next morning, Mina could not stop thinking about the crate. She had barely slept, tossing and turning as the humming replayed in her mind. The sound was not loud, but it was alive. It was as if it had been waiting for her touch, and now remembered her presence. She made tea and sat by the window, staring out at the quiet street. Neighbors went about their usual routines, children ran to the bus stop, and a delivery truck rumbled past. Everything seemed ordinary, but Mina's thoughts were far away. The crate's warmth lingered in her hands. The message on the small plate kept repeating in her mind. For the one who finds this. Mina knew she could not ignore it. She had to return. She dressed in her old jacket and boots, grabbed the key from her pocket, and walked to the yard. The container waited silently under the morning sun. The rust seemed to shine slightly, as if it had something to hide and wanted to be noticed. When she reached the container, she took a deep breath and inserted the key. The lock turned smoothly. She pulled the door open, and dust rose like soft fog. The crate stood in the same place, untouched, almost glowing faintly under the sunlight that sneaked through the container's small gaps. Mina circled it again. She examined every symbol and mark. They looked deliberate, precise, and older than they should be for a crate left outside for years. She ran her fingers over the carvings, trying to understand the pattern. It reminded her of shapes she had once seen in a book on ancient scripts at the library. Suddenly, the humming changed. It was no longer soft and steady. It grew louder, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. Mina stepped back, her heart matching the rhythm of the sound. She realized it was responding to her presence, her attention. She knelt in front of the crate and inspected the metal plate again. The message seemed simple, but Mina felt it carried weight far beyond the words. She whispered aloud, "I found it. I am here. What should I do?" The humming answered, in a way she could not explain. The warmth she felt earlier intensified, spreading through her fingertips into her arms. A soft glow began to appear from the tiny gaps between the wooden panels. Mina leaned closer, captivated. Then a faint click echoed from inside the crate. The wooden panels shifted slightly. It was subtle, but Mina noticed immediately. Her breath caught. She looked around the empty yard. There was no one. The sound came from the crate itself. Mina stepped back. Her mind raced with possibilities. She was cautious, but curiosity was stronger. She wanted to know what waited inside, even if it was dangerous. Carefully, she placed her hands back on the crate. The warmth returned, stronger now. The glow intensified, shaping into soft lines that traced the carvings on the crate. Mina gasped as the patterns appeared like moving light, forming shapes she could almost recognize. The crate seemed alive. It was breathing, waiting, and inviting her at the same time. Mina remembered her father's words. Forgotten things often hold the most important stories. She pressed her palm gently against the wood. This time, the crate responded more boldly. The humming became a low, melodic tone, like a song too old for words. Suddenly, the crate's lid shifted slightly. Mina froze. She did not pull back. Her curiosity outweighed fear. She knelt in front of it, hands ready to open the lid fully. The crate gave way slightly, enough to reveal a faint, shimmering light inside. Mina leaned closer. The light was not harsh. It was warm, soft, and inviting. She could see shapes forming inside, delicate and impossible to describe. It looked like a miniature world contained within the crate. Tiny buildings, glowing with a soft golden light, and figures moving inside, but too small to be human. Her eyes widened. She could not believe what she saw. It was alive, yet it was contained. It was delicate, yet powerful. Her mind raced to understand how it was possible. She wondered who had put it there, and why no one else had found it before. The humming shifted again. It felt like a voice now, not words, but emotions. Excitement, hope, and trust. The crate seemed to be telling her that she was chosen, that she was meant to discover it. Mina's hands trembled slightly. She reached toward the crate and touched the shimmering surface inside. The moment her fingers made contact, a gentle wave of energy surged through her body. She felt stronger, more alert, and strangely connected to the miniature world inside. Suddenly, she heard movement behind her. She turned quickly. The yard was empty. No one had followed her. Only the soft hum of the crate remained. It was as if the crate had shielded her discovery from the rest of the world. Mina knelt again, feeling the warmth and pulsing light through her fingers. She knew she could not leave it alone. She needed to study it to understand it. She needed to protect it. The crate had chosen her, and she could not deny its call. She decided to move the container to her small garage behind her home. It would be safer there, away from prying eyes. She rented a small truck and carefully loaded the container. It was heavy, but the pulsing warmth inside seemed to guide her, making the work feel lighter. Once home, Mina positioned the container in her garage. She locked it securely and placed a blanket over it, careful to hide it from neighbors. Then she sat down, exhausted but exhilarated. She thought about what she had found. She did not yet understand its power or purpose, but she felt certain that it was important. More than important. It was extraordinary. Mina remembered the laughter from the auction. The people who had mocked her choice would never have imagined what she now knew. The container they dismissed as rusty and useless held something that could change everything. That night, Mina could not sleep. She kept thinking about the crate and the world inside. She imagined the possibilities, the questions, the answers waiting to be discovered. She felt a deep connection to it, as if the crate and she had been waiting for each other. As she drifted into a light sleep, she dreamed of glowing cities, tiny figures moving gracefully, and a world that pulsed with life. The humming from the crate echoed in her mind even as she slept. By morning, Mina knew her life had changed forever. She was no longer just a cleaner or a repair worker. She had been chosen to uncover something extraordinary. And she would not fail. Mina woke up early, her mind still filled with the glowing shapes and soft hums from the crate. She drank water quickly and stepped into her garage. The container sat quietly in the morning light, a mystery waiting for her attention. The warmth from the crate pulsed gently, like it was aware of her presence. She knelt beside it, studying the symbols once more. They seemed to move slightly when she looked at them, patterns shifting under her gaze. Mina traced them carefully with her fingers. The carvings glowed faintly again, as if welcoming her touch. She whispered softly, "I am here. I will learn from you." As she did, the humming grew stronger, more melodic. It was comforting now, not strange or frightening. Mina felt as though the crate was trying to communicate. She pressed her hands gently on the top and felt a vibration travel up her arms. It was alive in a way she had never experienced. She remembered the miniature world she had seen inside the crate. She wanted to know more. How could something so small hold so much life? She leaned closer and tried to peek inside again. The light shimmered and shifted. She could see tiny streets, glowing buildings, and the delicate figures moving about. They seemed to notice her, turning toward her presence. Mina's heart raced with excitement. She had discovered something incredible, something no one else knew existed. She understood why the auction crowd had laughed. They could not see what she saw, and perhaps they never would. This was hers alone to explore and protect. She decided she needed to understand how the crate worked. She pulled out a notebook and started drawing the symbols and the carvings. She copied each line carefully, observing the way the light moved along the patterns. She noted the hum, the warmth, and the small shift in the wood when she touched it. Every detail seemed important. Hours passed. Mina did not notice the sun climbing high in the sky. She was focused, completely absorbed. The crate responded to her concentration, the humming changing with the movements of her pencil. The warmth spread from the wood into her body, making her feel alert and calm at the same time. By midday, Mina's stomach reminded her she had not eaten. She went inside and prepared a small meal, but her thoughts remained with the crate. She could not stop thinking about the tiny figures inside, the glowing cities, and the message that had called to her. For the one who finds this. After eating, she returned to the garage. The light from the crate had changed slightly. It was brighter now, stronger. Mina reached out again, pressing her hands on the warm surface. She closed her eyes, letting herself focus completely. A vision came to her. She saw herself standing in a vast open space filled with golden light. Tiny figures approached her, bowing slightly. They gestured toward the glowing cities, then toward her. Mina realized they were welcoming her, guiding her to understand their world. When she opened her eyes, she was back in her garage. The crate's glow had dimmed slightly, but the humming remained. It felt alive and patient. Mina knew she had been given a glimpse of what she could discover. She decided to try something bold. Carefully, she lifted the lid of the crate. The glowing light spilled out, filling the garage with soft gold. She could see the miniature city clearly, the tiny figures moving gracefully along streets and bridges. Each movement seemed purposeful and intelligent. Mina reached in slowly, her fingers hovering over the shimmering scene. She touched one of the tiny figures lightly. The figure stopped, turned, and raised its tiny arms toward her. A soft vibration moved through the crate, pulsing in response to her touch. Mina felt a connection she could not explain. She realized the crate was not just a container. It was a gateway, a bridge between her world and this hidden one. It responded to care, attention, and understanding. It required patience and respect. Mina knew she could not rush it. She had to learn, to observe, and to earn its trust. Days passed. Mina devoted herself entirely to the crate. She studied the symbols, the carvings, and the miniature world inside. She noted the patterns of light and the way the tiny figures moved. She discovered that certain symbols made the hum change, and certain touches made the light shift in color. She began to understand a language she had never spoken before, a way to communicate without words. One afternoon, Mina noticed something new. A tiny figure had stopped moving. It stood at the edge of a glowing bridge, looking directly at her. She leaned closer, her heart pounding. The figure raised its arms and then moved toward the center of the city. It paused near a tall building with light spilling from the windows. Then it vanished. The humming changed, becoming softer, more like a whisper. Mina felt a warmth in her chest. She realized the figure had delivered a message. She did not understand the details yet, but she felt the meaning. The miniature world trusted her. They were showing her something important, something that needed her attention. That night, Mina wrote in her notebook until her hand ached. She sketched the buildings, the symbols, and the movements of the tiny figures. She recorded the changes in the light and the shifts in the hum. She wanted a record of everything, to study and understand. As she wrote, she felt a sense of purpose stronger than anything she had known. The crate had chosen her for a reason. She did not know what that reason was yet, but she understood that her life had changed forever. She was no longer just a worker saving money. She had been chosen to uncover a world hidden from everyone else. Sleep came late, and Mina dreamed again of the glowing cities. She walked through the miniature streets, watched the tiny figures, and felt their presence beside her. The humming followed her into sleep, a gentle rhythm that comforted and encouraged her. By morning, Mina knew she could not keep this discovery to herself. She had to learn more, to explore carefully, and to prepare for whatever came next. The crate held secrets far beyond her imagination, and she was determined to understand them. She stepped into the garage once more, ready to continue her work. The crate pulsed softly, as if acknowledging her presence. Mina smiled, feeling a deep sense of connection. She was not alone. The miniature world had accepted her, and together, they would uncover its secrets. Mina touched the crate gently and whispered, "I will learn everything. I will protect you. I will understand." The humming responded, stronger now, as if agreeing with her promise. The light shimmered and moved along the carvings, revealing patterns she had not noticed before. Mina leaned closer, ready for the next step, knowing that her journey had only just begun. The world outside remained unaware of what she had discovered. Neighbors went about their lives, children laughed in the streets, and people continued their routines. No one could guess that behind the walls of a small garage, a hidden world waited, alive and thriving, and that Mina had been chosen to uncover its mysteries. Mina spent the next morning preparing her garage carefully. She cleared space around the container so she could move freely. Every step she took was careful and deliberate, because she knew the crate was delicate, not in wood or metal, but in the life it held inside. She brewed a small cup of tea and brought it with her. It was her routine now, to sit quietly, observe, and wait for the crate to respond. When she opened the lid, the soft golden light spilled into the garage. The miniature city appeared clearer than ever. Tiny buildings shimmered, and figures moved along streets and bridges with purpose. Mina leaned closer, taking careful notes of the movements. Each shift in the light seemed to correspond with a movement or signal. She realized the crate was teaching her a language of its own, a way to communicate without words. A figure appeared near the tallest building, holding a small glowing object. Mina watched intently. The figure moved slowly toward another building, leaving a trail of shimmering light behind it. The hum changed, becoming melodic, almost like a song. Mina reached out, her fingers hovering above the crate, sensing the vibration beneath her touch. The figure paused, turned toward her, and raised its tiny arms. Mina understood. The crate wanted her to interact, to respond. She gently pressed her fingers on the glowing surface where the figure stood. Instantly, the figure's path brightened, and the hum shifted into a steady rhythm. She realized the crate was alive in a way she had never imagined. It was not just a container. It was a living, responsive world, aware of her presence, and waiting for her participation. The day passed quickly as Mina studied the patterns. She noticed that the carvings on the crate's exterior were connected to the movements inside. Touching certain symbols caused changes in the miniature city. Some symbols made buildings glow brighter, while others caused figures to move differently. Mina felt a thrill of discovery. She had never experienced anything like this, and every moment brought new understanding. By late afternoon, she noticed something unusual. A figure had stopped moving at the edge of the city and seemed to stare at her directly. Its arms lifted, and a small beam of light shot toward a building in the center. The building's roof opened slightly, revealing a small glowing doorway. Mina's heart pounded. She realized the miniature world was showing her something important. She pressed her hands lightly on the crate, focusing on the glowing doorway. The hum responded, stronger and warmer. She felt a wave of energy move through her, not painful, but alerting her senses. The glow from the doorway intensified, and she could see more tiny figures gathering around it, moving with purpose. Mina understood that the miniature world was communicating with her, guiding her toward a discovery. She took a deep breath and spoke softly, "I will help. Show me what you need." The crate pulsed in response, the hum steady and welcoming. The glow spread along the carvings, illuminating the symbols in a way she had not noticed before. The lines seemed to shift and form patterns, like instructions or a map. Mina traced them carefully with her fingers, noting every detail. She realized the symbols were a form of guidance, a way for the crate to teach her about the world inside. Hours passed, and Mina lost track of time. She sketched, wrote, and observed. Each discovery led to another question, and each answer opened new possibilities. The crate was alive, not just in a magical sense, but in a logical, structured way. It had rules, patterns, and a purpose. Mina felt honored to be part of its unfolding story. As evening approached, Mina decided to rest for a while. She stepped back from the crate and looked around her garage. Sunlight faded, casting long shadows across the floor. The container's exterior was dull, but inside, the golden glow persisted. She realized that the crate was not affected by the outside world. It existed independently, yet it responded to her presence. She sat in a chair near the container, reflecting on what she had learned. The crate was extraordinary, but she knew she had only begun to understand it. There were countless mysteries waiting inside, and she had to be patient and attentive. She also understood that this was not something to rush or force. The miniature world required respect, care, and curiosity. During her quiet observation, Mina noticed movement she had not seen before. A tiny figure appeared near the glowing doorway and stepped out carefully, as if testing her attention. The hum changed, softer and more deliberate. Mina leaned closer, focusing on the figure. It raised its arms again, signaling her. She extended her hand toward the crate, feeling the warmth beneath her palms. The figure moved toward her touch. Light spread along its path, reaching the glowing doorway. Mina understood that it was inviting her to participate in something deeper, a journey beyond observation. She placed both hands gently on the crate, steadying herself. The humming became a steady pulse, filling the garage with warmth. Suddenly, the crate vibrated slightly. The glowing doorway widened, and more figures appeared, moving in coordination. Mina could see patterns forming, as if the miniature world was preparing for something significant. She felt a surge of anticipation, mixed with awe. The crate was alive, and it was teaching her to become part of its story. Mina spent the night in the garage, studying, learning, and observing. She took notes of every movement, every shift in the light, and every change in the hum. The crate responded to her focus, pulsing and glowing in ways that made her feel connected to something much larger than herself. She realized she was no longer just an observer. She was a participant, chosen to understand, protect, and explore this extraordinary world. By morning, Mina felt a sense of clarity. The crate was not merely a mystery. It was a guide, a teacher, and a companion. She understood that her journey had only begun, and that patience, attention, and care would reveal more wonders. She was determined to follow the crate's guidance, to uncover its secrets, and to respect the life it held inside. As she stepped out of the garage, she looked at the world around her. Everything seemed ordinary, yet she knew it was different. She carried a secret, a living treasure, and a connection to something extraordinary. The people who had laughed at her decision to buy the rusty container would never understand. She did not need them to. Mina had discovered a world hidden from everyone else, a world that trusted her, and a world that would change everything she thought she knew. Mina returned to the garage with renewed purpose. The crate waited quietly, its glow soft and steady. She placed her hands on it gently, feeling the warmth and the pulsing hum. She whispered, "I will learn everything you have to teach me. I will protect your world. I will understand." The crate pulsed in response, brighter and stronger. Mina knew that together they would uncover more, explore further, and face whatever mysteries awaited. Her journey had only begun, and the possibilities stretched endlessly before her. The following morning, Mina woke with a sense of purpose stronger than ever. She hurried to her garage, carrying her notebook, a pen, and a small flashlight. The crate waited quietly, its surface warm to the touch, as if aware she had returned. The golden light inside shimmered softly, inviting her to explore further. She knelt before it, heart racing, and whispered, "Show me what I need to see today." As she pressed her hands against the crate, the symbols on its surface pulsed in a rhythm she had come to recognize. The tiny figures inside the miniature city began to move quickly, more coordinated than ever. They crossed streets, entered buildings, and gathered near the glowing doorway. Mina watched intently. She understood now that the crate had been guiding her, preparing her for this very moment. Carefully, she lifted the lid further. The light inside grew brighter, bathing the garage in a warm glow. Mina's eyes widened as she saw the figures working together to assemble something near the center of the city. Small beams of light connected buildings, creating a network of glowing paths. The pulsing hum became a steady, melodic tone, filling the air and wrapping around her senses. She felt a connection stronger than before, as if the miniature world was part of her. A single figure stepped forward, separate from the others. It approached the glowing doorway, raised its arms, and turned to face Mina. She reached out her hands, and the figure responded instantly. A beam of light extended from the figure toward her fingertips, and she felt a gentle vibration travel through her body. The crate pulsed in response, and Mina realized that she was ready to interact fully, not just observe. The figure moved to the edge of the glowing doorway, and Mina noticed a tiny platform appearing beneath it. The platform expanded slowly, as if creating a bridge between the miniature city and her reality. She leaned closer, fascinated and careful. This was more than she had expected. The crate was not simply a miniature world. It was a bridge, a place where her actions could influence what happened inside. Mina pressed her hands gently on the crate. The pulsing light grew stronger, surrounding the figure and the doorway. Tiny symbols floated above the platform, shimmering like stars. She reached out, letting her fingers brush the warm glow. The figure moved closer, and she could feel a faint tug, a gentle invitation to step forward. Her curiosity overcame caution, and she leaned in, eyes wide. Suddenly, a golden mist emerged from the doorway, rising like smoke but solid in its warmth and light. Mina could see the miniature city clearly now, every building, street, and figure more vivid than before. The mist surrounded her hands, and she felt as though she could reach inside. She touched the mist lightly, and the figure lifted a tiny glowing orb. The orb floated toward her hands, and she realized it could be held, manipulated, and understood. Mina lifted the orb carefully, feeling its gentle warmth and steady pulse. The hum from the crate shifted, a soft melody that filled the garage completely. She understood that this orb was a key, a tool to communicate, to explore, and perhaps to protect the miniature world. The tiny figure pointed toward a building, and she knew she was being guided. The city needed her attention, her care, and her understanding. 4 hours, Mina worked with the crate. She followed the figure's guidance, placing the orb near buildings, touching symbols that caused new lights to appear, and tracing patterns that revealed hidden streets. She discovered that each action had a response, that the crate was alive and interactive. The miniature world was not static. It thrived on her presence, learning, and attention. By evening, Mina felt exhausted but exhilarated. She stepped back from the crate, her hands tingling from the warmth. The city inside glowed softly, as if resting after a day of work. The figures moved slowly, returning to their buildings. The humming became gentle and calm, like a lullaby. Mina smiled, realizing she had learned more than she expected. She understood that the crate was teaching her patience, observation, and connection. She decided it was time to rest. She covered the crate carefully with a soft cloth, leaving enough space for light to escape. She stepped outside and looked at the world beyond her garage. The street was quiet, the sun had set, and the night sky stretched above her. Everything seemed ordinary, yet Mina knew it was extraordinary. She held a secret, a living treasure that had chosen her. That night, Mina dreamed vividly. She walked through the miniature streets, feeling the warmth of the city beneath her feet. The tiny figures greeted her, guiding her to glowing buildings and mysterious paths. She explored hidden corners, discovered new symbols, and felt the pulse of life that flowed through the city. When she awoke, she felt refreshed, ready to continue her journey with renewed determination. Over the next few days, Mina developed a routine. She studied the crate in the morning, recording every detail, tracing symbols, and interacting with the miniature world. She documented everything in her notebook: patterns, light changes, movements of the figures, and the responses to her touch. The crate continued to pulse with life, responding to her focus and care. One afternoon, Mina noticed a change. A larger figure appeared in the city, taller and more intricate than the others. It moved with purpose, crossing streets and guiding smaller figures. The glow around it was brighter, and the hum became a richer, deeper melody. Mina understood immediately. Something significant was about to happen. She leaned closer, hands hovering above the crate. The larger figure reached a glowing tower at the city's center and paused. Light expanded around it, forming a circle that connected all the buildings. The miniature figures moved into formation, creating a pattern that Mina had not seen before. She realized this was a message, a display of trust and recognition. Mina reached out and touched the light circle gently. The vibration traveled through her hands, arms, and chest. She felt a surge of understanding, a sense of unity with the miniature world. It was not just a city or a crate. It was alive, intelligent, and aware. It had chosen her for a reason. She understood that her role was to protect, guide, and learn from it. That evening, Mina sat quietly, notebook in hand. She reflected on everything she had discovered. The crate had been abandoned, overlooked, and dismissed by the world, but it held something extraordinary. She had been chosen, and her life had changed forever. She smiled, knowing that she had found something beyond imagination, a world hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone who cared enough to notice. Mina placed her hands gently on the crate and whispered, "I will protect you. I will learn everything you wish to teach me. We will grow together, and I will honor the trust you have given me." The crate pulsed brighter, humming softly in agreement. The golden light shimmered across the garage, wrapping her in warmth. Mina felt a deep connection, a bond that would not be broken. She knew that this discovery was just the beginning, that countless adventures awaited, and that she had been chosen for a purpose greater than herself. Outside, the world remained unaware of the miracle hidden in a rusty container. People went about their daily routines, laughing, working, and moving through life. No one could see the golden light, the miniature city, or the tiny figures thriving in their hidden world. They did not know that Mina had been chosen to uncover it, to understand it, and to protect it. Mina smiled, a calm determination settling over her. She had learned patience, attention, and care. She had discovered a hidden world, alive and waiting, and she would honor it with every action, every observation, and every moment she spent beside it. The crate had chosen her, and she had chosen to embrace its mysteries fully. She leaned close one final time that night, hands on the crate, whispering softly, "Together, we will reveal the wonders within, and no one will ever dismiss what you are again." The crate pulsed warmly, the golden light shimmering across the garage. Mina knew that she had found something extraordinary, and that her journey, though just beginning, would change everything she had ever known. The laughter and mockery of others had faded completely. What remained was trust, discovery, and a connection between Mina and a world no one else could see. The rusty container was no longer ordinary. It was a treasure, a gateway, and a home for wonders beyond imagination. Mina had been chosen, and she would never let that choice be wasted.